for the record. Open your eye in alignment with time and you'll see the truth like it's a physical thing. From the darkness I arise, so it's not a surprise when you learn of the light that I bring. As above, so below, I find a rhythm and flow as I grow with the pendulum swing. This is the matrix where everyone's faking they sleep here in life while we wake up in dreams. Shedding the skin like a serpent, this work makes it worth it. Attaining a purpose while searching internal, examine what all is in me. Most will not make it there, so can I take it? Reality shaking, you've seen what I've seen. Reap what you sow, with the weavers of speech, achievers, and this is the read 'em and weed 'em. You cannot read in vibrations that none of them speak. Walk a meadow, netter, light is feather is heavy to learn that your will isn't free. Netter willing, I continue to lead with my evils. I'm sweeping my consciousness clean. Training in realms that are unseen. My aura is some set fire to all of the fiends. Stand on my eye, this is all seeing. I we supply 93, that means we are supreme. Hotep Ma'at, peace and truth to you all. Welcome to the House of Aten. My name is Ptah Aten Tehuti. And today I'm here to provide you all with a class to help to eliminate any questions that one may have or that may arise, or if anyone comes across this class here who's studying the Emerald Tablets or the Kabbalion or have heard of Thoth the Atlantean. This class is for you. I'm here to bring forth all of the factual information in the actual writings of the people themselves. Today, we do not have to go off of people's words without having some type of validation. What did the people say themselves? And that's what I'm here to bring to you all. So we'll go ahead and get started. I have a lot of information to go through. And so let's begin to traverse. All right, we are here. This is the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, what Katt Williams was really trying to say. All right, so let's get going. The Emerald Tablets are some of the most widely known and popular writings in modern day philosophy and spirituality. This came to bring forth what's known as alchemy and transmutation, as what a lot of people will tell you. Katt Williams recently went on the Joe Rogan Experience and brought this up as a topic. I am here to make plain the facts of the so-called Emerald Tablets and show the deeper levels of this source of this information and this character called Thoth, as we will hear Katt Williams refer to him as. All right, so here we have what many people are calling Thoth, and here we have these green looking tablet with some Greek looking language here. All right. As Katt is introducing the Emerald Tablets to Joe Rogan, a very important question is asked by Joe. When was it written? We will see that this question is not answered by Katt simply because he does not have an answer to this question, because he didn't ask himself that question. So he doesn't have an answer to that. Even though he said, just because you understand this when it was written, doesn't have an answer, because he does not have an answer to this question. Even though he said, just because you understand when this was written, this is a drastic mistake that many people do not pay close enough attention to, and is one of the most important questions one should ask when doing our own personal research. Let me show you the clip to further give context to why the Matrix to this day, even when coming across information that can be life enhancing, is still a part of the Greek narrative, even though Thoth is an Egyptian god. And here's just another beautiful fantasized image of what this Emerald Tablet may have looked like, right? So let me bring forth the factual information to where we don't have to just make up our own words, and we don't have to go by the stories of people who weren't there in the original times of the writings of Tehuti, which is the original Medu Neter name for Thoth, right? The Medu Neter is it's the actual words for the hieroglyphs. Medu, met or med, which means to speak or words, and then neter, which is the Netiru, which Tehuti is one of. So when people are speaking about Thoth, you never hear, just as in this interview, you never hear anyone speak about the Netiru. And that is what the House of Aten is here to change and bring forth that frequency. As you see our logo, House of Aten, the Netiru exist. So we're representations of the Netiru, who Tehuti is one of, and we're going to bring forth the Medu Neter, the language of the Netiru and their writings. So before I share any clip, fair use, fair use, fair use. So before I show any clip, fair use, disclaimer here. The House of Aten respects the intellectual property rights of others and expects its users to do the same. And so under the United States Copyright Act of 1976, Section 107, materials may be used for purposes such as teaching and scholarship or research. Okay, so that's what this is. This is the Joe Rogan Experience, episode 2111, Katt Williams. Here's the link to the YouTube here. So do not, YouTube, give me any type of copyright notice. Fair use disclaimer.
He came to get the information, but if you follow that information pathway, it leads you to this character called Thoth, right? And the emerald tablets of Thoth are literally mind changing and mind blowing, just because you understand when this was written and the terminology being used is
when was it written?
Far too accurate.
When was it written?
So
no answer.
I'm sure that
Jamie can pull it up. So that's what they proceed to do. So we see them looking this up and it bringing them to the Wikipedia page. Let's pay close attention now to what happens next. Right. So we see them pulling up the wiki of the Emerald Tablet, and Joe's going to begin to read it. Fair use.
The text of the Emerald Tablet first appears in a number of early medieval Arabic sources, the oldest of which dates to the late 8th or early 9th century. It was translated into Latin several times in the 12th and 13th centuries. Numerous interpretations and commentaries followed. So what does it say, though?
So what does it say? And he just went over the dates to answer his question. Late medieval Arabic sources, right? So let's keep moving. The dates are said and no one stops to then ask the question, medieval Arabic sources? Aren't we talking about Egypt? Don't they have a language? The latest dates to the late 8th or early 9th century. Why would an Egyptian god's writings be in an Arabic text and not in the native language? These writings only date back to 1100 years ago. Katt stated, because of the dates of this writing, as if this is any source of ancient literature. Oh, he must have been talking about the actual content inside and what's said. Even still, Katt learned live in real time the true dates of these writings for the very first time, even though he has read them and is now speaking about them on the largest podcast in the world. Now, let me begin to show you the actual facts in the most detailed class you will ever receive on the Emerald Tablets and this character named Thoth. I will walk you through step by step down the pathway to truth with no assumption or opinion inserted. I was bestowed the names Ani Ptah Aten Tehuti, so it's only Ma'at, which is the word for right. I correct the misinformation of my name's sake. So let's get into the information. Tehuti is known of having the ibis head, right? He has the head of an ibis. So what does this mean? Why does Tehuti have the head of an ibis? And this is important because when you associate this with Hermes Trismegistus doesn't have any type of habu bird or ibis bird anthropomorphic signification. So it's important for us to understand that the Kemetians, everything that they did was purposeful. So why Tehuti has an ibis head is extremely important, and it gets taken away when you attribute this to Hermes Trismegistus, who is a European looking man. So why does Tehuti have an ibis head? The long beak of the ibis is used for digging in water or mud, or even in cracks in dry ground in its search for food. All right. So you see Tehuti here on the walls of the temple of Seti with Uwachit and Nekbet here, the two ladies with the two crowns of upper and lower Kemet. And he's given the Ankh of life to the nose of Seti here. All right. And so we see the ibis bird, a beautiful bird here, using its beak to dig and to search. So why is this the personification of Tehuti? So why is this the animal used to represent Tehuti, or one of them? Because there are many, but we mostly see him with the ibis head. Then this creates the word Yah, which becomes a name of Tehuti. Yah Tehuti, or Chahuti, Thoth, the moon god, because Yah is a name for to break the ground, to plow, and to dig up the earth. So Yah literally means to break the ground or to dig, which is what Tehuti's name is Yah. And Yah is also the word for moon, which is why it's the moon god. Tehuti is the digger. It is my job to dig for the information that may not be so easy to find or put together, because this false matrix is very real, and they'll lead you down all this path of just information that sounds good to the ears on first listen. But that's why the House of Aten is here. As Yah, it's only natural to take thy beak and search for source. And so we see the ibis bird here with its beak down to the ground, and it's the word gim, and it means to find, to discover. Gim or gimme, to find or to discover, with the ibis here digging and the owl here with its face looking directly at you. Gim means to find or discover, which is the ibis digging. What happens when this tone is doubled, right? Gim, gim, when you double up the tone, what does it mean? The investigation is now underway. So gim, gim, which is to search out or to investigate. So now this is an investigation. Now we need to actually investigate and find out what this information is. And we're going to dig to the root. We're going to get to the root and to the source by using our beak of Tehuti, not Hermes Trismegistus. Tehuti is the one who is going to dig and bring forth the source information. This same digging ibis glyph, creating the root word for dig, then also creates the word see, look, and perceive. So here we have gim, which is the same ibis bird digging, and the owl, to make, to see. Gimel, to see, to perceive, to scrutinize. So we're going to scrutinize the emerald tablets because we're going to investigate and we're going to search out. We're going to dig. Gim, to see, to look, to perceive. Tehuti is known as the god of knowledge, being that his wisdom is what gave way to the much later teachings and attributions to Hermes Trismegistus. In the Greek, the concept of wisdom and knowledge itself became associated with sight. And so when we look up the etymology of the word know, to be able to distinguish, to perceive a thing to be identical with another, the perception, to perceive or understand as a fact or truth, opposed to believe. So it deals with perception, which is here, Gimel, to see, to perceive, because Tehuti is the one who brought forth knowledge, and that's why he's the god of knowledge. And so when you see the ibis bird digging, the digging is a result of digging for information, for searching out and getting to the root of something, to perceive, which is know. And also when you look up wise, the etymology of the word wise, it goes back to wide. It means to see, hence to know. So wisdom is associated with sight, which is why you see the ibis and the owl. This is why Tehuti has the head of an ibis, because of what he represents, wisdom and knowledge. This is what you will be receiving in this class. It is time for those of you who appreciate and study the Hermetica be brought to the source and the true writings of the culture in its original language. No more giving credit of Tehuti, Jehuti to the Greeks. They were our students. The Natiru are back to reestablish ourselves, back on the throne, and take back all of the information everyone has stolen from us and correct it. No, it is not all the same information. I hear people say this all the time. Oh, this is here and that's there, and you see that over here, and it's all the same. It is not all the same. Give credit to the source. Before you say anything is the same of something else, you should be able to bring me the source information to say that this is the same as that. And anyone who studies the Medunetter, who studies Kemet, the Natiru, overstands that this is not the same. This is the source. Everything else is just the offspring. Ma'at will prevail. Tehuti, the dweller in Kimenu, he's the judge of the gods, master of the words of power. The bull of Ma'at, Tehuti the ibis, Thoth the great, Thoth the twice great. So now the third great is they're gonna attribute it to Hermes and give it to the Greek. So the Greek god Hermes is the thrice great. But in the Medunetter, we see his real names. Thoth, the great one of spells. Tehuti, lord of the divine word, just scribe of the company of the gods. Tehuti, the bull in Techetet. Ari Ma'at, this is what we are. This is what we're representations of. We're the followers of Ma'at. We're the followers of the Natiru. Ari Ma'at are the doers of what is right. A name of Asar or Osiris and of other deities. Do what's right. Be honest. Ptah Smin Ma'at, Ptah, establisher of Ma'at. I am Ani Ptah Aten Tehuti. I'm here to establish law. I'm here to establish Ma'at. What is Ma'at? Thy genuine friend, a just judge, which is a title of Tehuti. Tehuti is also Ma'at, a man of truth. Ma'at, truth, integrity, uprightness, justice, the right, verity, genuineness, and law, right? Ma'at. And what do you see here in the actual glyphs for Ma'at? You see a digging tool, which again is just a copy of the actual habu or the ibis bird. It is the literal head of the ibis, which became a tool to dig into the ground. What else does Ma'at mean? Ma'at means sight and vision, something seen, things seen, visions. Ma'at is an inspection. Ma'at is an inspection. Ma'at is the seer, a divine title. So this is Ma'at, and we are here to cleanse the eyes as what Tehuti does. And that's actually written in the papyruses, which I can show in another class, but Tehuti is the cleanser of the eye, which is Ma'at, which is to see. So Ma'at is to see the truth. So all of you who are here right now, taking in this information and being cleansed, I'm cleansing your eye of all of the Isfet, which is the Medunetter word for chaos or lies, and replacing it with Ma'at. And to show you how Gim, which means to dig, is the same word that creates to search and to inspect, to investigate, which is also Ma'at, to see, the seer, a divine title. which is the same definition of Gim and Tehuti as I show here, because everything I say, I will show or am able to show. So here we see here, sight, vision, seer, to see, to look, to search out, to investigate. Gim and Ma'at. Isn't the owl associated with wisdom as well? Oh, yes, of course. This is what we taught and gave to the world thousands of years before Hermes existed. So in the word Gim with Tehuti, the ibis bird, the digger, you also have the owl. One of the few glyphs where it's not in profile, it's looking directly at you. And very deep teaching. Why? Because the letter M, which is the owl, means to see, behold. And which is the first sound vibrational tone of Ma'at. M, Ma-M is also the owl because it means to see, the seer. Welcome to the House of Aten. The Natiru exist. And we're here to show forth and represent the ancient ones who brought forth this information that everyone steals from and gives credit to the students who twisted and made it their own because they understood the power of this information. So ancient Tehutian teachings of the Natiru. Welcome.
Also known as the Smaragdine
Fair
tablet,
use.
or the Tabula Smaragdina.
Okay, so we see here with him beginning to read it. This is what happens a lot of times when people will just read things, right? But you can see that it's not really being conceptualized within his consciousness of what he's reading, because they're just reading it and he just read through the dates. He sped through them and then said, oh, well, what does it say? Before you want to know what something should say, you should know the source of that thing. Because now when you get into the information of what it actually says, is it something that can be trusted? Can it be validated? Before you take in the information, we just want to get to what does it say? But it's a step-by-step process. And that's what I'm going to take you through. This Smaragdine tablet. This is the Smaragdina Tabliva. This is the Smaragdina Tabla, which dates to 1541 CE. Here's your date, 1541 CE. Extremely recent. This is your emerald tablet source. As I showed.
Also known
here as what they read. This is what it says. The emerald tablet, also known as the Smaragdine tablet, which is this right here. Tabla Smaragdine Hermetis Trismegisti. And here is the source of where this is. So ancestral artifacts. We're going to look at the actual artifacts because the great ancestors left so much. And so we're now today, when people start to say things and bring things up, they're not able to bring it forward as an actual artifact, like a fact. It's just he say, she say, words being said. And we cannot stand for that because we actually have writings to validate what we teach and what we say that were brought forth by the scribes of the Nile Valley. So here's your emerald tablet. Not this. This is... We will get to this later. I don't know what this is. This is not... What museum number is this? What museum is this in? This ancient emerald tablet. The earliest known versions of the emerald tablet, on which all later versions were based on, is found in Pseudo Apollonius of Tyanus, Serd al-Khalika, Wasan at al-Tabia, which is the secret of the creation and the art of nature. This is the earliest known version of the Emerald Tablet. Medieval Arabic sources, which they read. The secret of creation and the art of nature. This dates between 750 and 850 CE, Common Era. Very recent writings. Nothing ancient about these writings at all. So when Katt Williams says, when you understand when these were written, they were written 11, 1200 years ago. That's it. They're not ancient at all. There is no mention of an emerald tablet before this, and the context in which and way it's taught on today. Yes, the story within these writings say something particular, but the actual fact of what's proven is this is the true source of the emerald tablets. Let's see where the misconception begins. Let's dig. This is the most popular translation to the date by M. Doreal. Let us read some of the preface, right? The Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean, translation and interpretation by Doreal. And you see Tehuti here with the Ankh on his arm, holding what people today call a Merkaba, which again are Meternetter words, and sitting on top of the Uwachit. Preface to the Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean. So let's dig, let's read this. Let's read this knowing the sources of where this comes from. The history of the tablets translated in the following pages is strange and beyond the belief of modern scientists. Their antiquity is stupendous, dating back some 36,000 years BC. Where are these tablets that have been translated that date back to 36,000 years ago or 36,000 years BC? It does not exist. This is complete misinformation. This is a complete lie right here, because no one can bring you or show you these tablets. So how are you going to date something that don't exist? The writer is Thoth, an Atlantean priest king who founded a colony in ancient Egypt after the sinking of the mother country. He was the builder of the Great Pyramid of Giza, erroneously attributed to Cheops. If in it, he incorporated his knowledge of the ancient wisdom and also securely secreted records and instruments of ancient Atlantis. So here we have Doreal saying that the tablets date back some 36,000 years or BC. Well, did you know that Doreal claimed to actually physically possess these tablets? So the book that everyone's reading, that now have become a religion in itself, with these ancient tablets, Emerald of Thoth, the Atlantean priest king. This is now a religion. And their god is Doreal. And so did you know that Doreal claimed to actually physically possess these tablets? So this is continued in the Emerald Tablets. This particular group of priests bearing the tablets immigrated to South America, where they found a flourishing race, the Mayas, who remembered much of the ancient wisdom. Among these, the priests settled and remained. In the 10th century, the Mayas had thoroughly settled the Yucatan, and the tablets were placed beneath the altar of one of the great temples of the sun god. Okay, so now we're tracing them. The tablets were placed underneath an altar of one of the sun gods of the Mayas. After the conquest of the Mayas by the Spaniards, the cities were abandoned and the treasures of the temples forgotten. Okay, it should be understood that the Great Pyramid of Egypt has been and still is a temple of initiation into the mysteries. Jesus, Solomon, Apollonius, and others were initiated there. Oh, okay. So now we are continuing the teachings of Jesus, right? Which another character who did not exist. Show me or prove to me by bringing forth writings by the people themselves. I haven't found any writings of any people in the time of when Jesus was supposedly existing or walking the planet of anyone speaking about a Jesus. There's not one writing. There's not one artifact of any of it. Solomon, same thing. The writer, who has a connection with the Great White Lodge, which also works through the pyramid priesthood, was instructed to recover and return to the Great Pyramid, the ancient tablets. So the writer, he was instructed to recover and return to the Great Pyramids, the ancient tablets. So this, after adventures which need not to be detailed here, was accomplished. Before returning them, he was given permission to translate and retain a copy of the wisdom engraved on the tablets. So this is Doreal, who's saying that he actually attained permission to go get the tablets from Yucatan and translate them. This was done in 1925, and only now has permission been given for part to be published. It is expected that many will scoff. Yet the true student will read between the lines and gain wisdom. If the light is in you, the light which is engraved in these tablets will respond. Right. So that's a trigger. That's a hypnotic phrase for anyone who considers themselves a light being. Oh, if I'm a light being, I'm gonna understand this. And as I've said, these teachings are good when you're a baby coming into information and you're coming out of religion, coming out of Christianity or any of the Abrahamic religions. And now you come across universal principle law and speaking about Thoth, which goes to Tehuti and the Cometians and ancient Kemet and the pyramids. Yeah, of course, it's going to be great information for you at the very beginning stage. But we continue to dig and find information and get to the source. And we learn real quick how elementary these writings are. And so here is someone who's translating, which these are supposed to be written in an Atlantean language. How did Doreal understand or know the Atlantean language to be able to translate tablets in Atlantean? I've never heard anyone ask that question or give any type of answer. Now, a word as to the material aspect of the tablets. So now we're getting to the actual material, the material aspect of it. They consist of 12 tablets of emerald green. Okay, so now we have a number, 12 of them, formed from a substance created through alchemical transmutation. They are imperishable, resistant to all elements and substances. In effect, the atomic and cellular structure is fixed, no change ever taking place. In this respect, they violate the material law of ionization. Upon them are engraved characters in the ancient Atlantean language that somehow Doreal knew how to translate. Have you guys ever asked that question? These 12 tablets with an Atlantean language, how was he the only person ever on the planet to see this and to be able to translate that? Just think about that. Characters which respond to attuned thought waves, releasing the associated mental vibration in the mind of the reader. The tablets are fastened together with hoops of golden color alloy suspended from a rod of the same material. So much for the material appearance. The wisdom contained therein is the foundation of the ancient mysteries. And for the one who reads with open eyes and open mind, his wisdom shall be increased 100-fold. Read, believe or not, but read. And the vibration found therein will awaken a response in your soul in cosmic harmony. Doreal, supreme voice of the brotherhood. Who is this Doreal? Has anyone ever seen an image of this Doreal? Let me show you. Here's your supreme master, voice of the brotherhood, Doreal, who translated an Atlantean language, going through to go pick up these 12 tablets and carry them through the jungles and bring forth the ancient Cometian knowledge and information of Tehuti. Here's your God for everyone who's teaching and preaching. Here's your God for everyone who's teaching and preaching the emerald tablets of Thoth the Atlantean. It's something that was written 36,000 years ago. Here's your source for that. And he has a website, Brotherhood of the White Temple.com. Dr. M. Doreal, a spiritual teacher of multitude of seekers of light, having founded the Metaphysical Church and Institute. Doreal is the author of all the organization's writings and teachings and was granted permission of the esoteric wisdom to be reunited in the public forum by the Great White Lodge and elder brothers of mankind who shape and form the spiritual evolution of mankind. Doreal writes of the secrets of the symbolism of all mysteries, societies, and gives a precisely and beautifully written step-by-step progression all seekers have searched for in their quest for oneness with God and attainment of the cosmic consciousness. After traveling the world for knowledge of light and truth, Doreal began publishing the findings and the lessons we now have today. Doreal studied the ancient teachings of the Emerald Tablets, the wisdom of the Kabbalah, and the light Jesus brought to mankind. So this is why you now have Jesus being inserted into the Emerald Tablets translation by M. Doreal, because he was a follower of Jesus. He has translated many ancient texts into English and other languages for masses to read in order for all of us to reach atonement within ourselves and the cosmic universe. Okay, so here is everyone's source for these Emerald Tablets, in which what they're teaching today. When you see these people doing these channels, channeling Tehuti and speaking about Atlantis was once a great place that gave birth to all of the wisdom and ancient knowledge. Here is your source. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean. This is on the same website, brotherhoodofthewhitetemple.com/the Emerald Tablets. Dear reader, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean has been a book of awe and wonder for decades. Dr. Doreal, the founder of the Brotherhood of the White Temple, was authorized by the Great White Lodge to retrieve the Emerald Tablets from the Great Pyramid in the jungles of South America. Brotherhood of the White Temple was authorized by the Great White Lodge. Who is this Great White Lodge that authorized this founder of the Brotherhood of the White Temple to go into South America and Yucatan to retrieve these Emerald Tablets? I don't think this Great White Lodge has anything to do with the jungles of South America, in which, if these tablets actually existed, that's who would be authorizing this person receiving any type of Emerald Tablets. This is craziness. As he journeyed through the jungles, he entered many hardships, which are described in this book. The purpose, of course, was to bring to humankind many truths and our connection to God and the cosmos, which have been hidden from him for the last 50,000 years. The Emerald Tablets have become so popular in the field of metaphysics that, unfortunately, others in the country and abroad are taking it upon themselves to write their own translations or retranslate the tablets and are making money off of unsuspecting readers. Regardless of what these self-appointed translators may say, absolutely no one but Dr. Doreal was ever given permission by the Great White Lodge or the Brotherhood of the White Temple to translate or reinterpret the Emerald Tablets. This is such isfat. Who are these people to authorize something that wasn't even in their possession initially, in a whole nother culture's possession, supposedly the story, for you to go and steal these tablets, because this is absolute nonsense. And to attribute this story into these Emerald Tablets, which I sold the oldest source for the Emerald Tablets in the Arabic writing, this is complete isfat. Dr. Pedro Gonzalez Milan from Yucatan, Mexico, was, however, commissioned by Dr. Doreal himself in the 1930s to translate Dr. Doreal's translation interpretation into Spanish. So they're saying that they're the source of these Emerald Tablets. So what do I do as Tehuti? I'm going to go to the source. That's what we do here. So this Brotherhood of the White Temple must be in possession of these 12 tablets, right? They said, oh, well, they went to find it and it was supposed to be returned back to the pyramids, and but they should have something. This was just the 1925 when someone had physical possession. This was 100 years ago, where someone had physical possession of the most advanced, greatest artifact on the planet. And no one has any. Let's just keep reading. If they are in possession of 12 tablets of emerald green formed from a substance created through alchemical transmutation, they are the imperishable, resistant to all elements and substances. In effect, the atomic and cellular structure is fixed and no change ever taken place. In this respect, they violate the material law of ionization. Upon them are engraved characters in the ancient Atlantean language. This would single-handedly be the greatest archaeological find in human history, but we know they do not have them because they do not exist. I contacted this temple by calling them, in which I did not receive an answer or callback. So I also employ you all. Go to this Brotherhood of the White Temple. They have a contact page. They have a number. Call them. Demand proof or information to validate what they're saying, that they're the only ones who have permission for this. They are the religion that everyone in the spiritual community today are following, and they don't even know the image of their God that I just showed you. I emailed them also. Let me show you what was said to me. So here it is. Here was a response when I asked, do you all have these tablets? And they said, they are in the pyramid in Egypt. Okay, which pyramid? They said that as if there's like one pyramid. Which pyramid are you speaking of? And are we able to see them? You will need to astrally project there. So are these tablets actually physical that can be held, or are they just a form of consciousness? If they are in a specific location and one astrally travels to them, which you are saying is in a pyramid, I don't assume. So if you could clarify which one, that would help a lot. And if all 12 tablets are there, and also, did they get out there? How did they get out there if Doreal had them in his possession in 1925? He went to Kemet with these 12 tablets and went into this temple and hid them somewhere. What happened? Thank you for clarifying and answering my questions, as you all are the source of this information. But I never received a response to this. And I won't receive a response because there are no answers to this. It's just they're in the pyramid. You'll need to astrally project to get there. What? This is ISFET at the highest levels. And everyone is saying, attributing these writings, these teachings as so sacred and spiritual. And this is the ISFET that I have to cut out because I once went through the thought process of the Emerald Tablets. It was actually my initiation into learning and seeing the name Thoth. So I understand the concept and the mindset of the people who come into this information and realize that it's much greater than any of the previous religious teachings of the Bible or the Quran. This is something different, and that's because of where it sources from. But I never stopped digging. I was not content with seeing that and having that and being like, oh, okay, this is it. This is all. And no, because I had questions, and these questions that I'm bringing to you all, these are questions that I had that I could not receive answers to. And when someone just gives you this mystical fairy tale answer that's in the wind somewhere that you can't grab, that's not good enough for me. And it shouldn't be good enough for you all. You all should be able to receive some sort of fact to validate what's being said to you. Not they're in a pyramid, astrally project there. This should now be extremely clear that I have laid out the sources and the facts. So for those of you who actually are digging for the truth and not just some good sounding spirituality, please move forward from these tablets. where Doreal tells you that they are physical tablets that he was in possession of. This story is just that. It's a story. Yes, there are good teachings in it, but that is simply because the actual information and teachings, not the history of it, are sourced directly from the wisdom and Kemet, from the real Tehuti and his scribes in its original language. While we are here, before I take you to the second section of this class, dismantling these fake tablets and the teachings that Tehuti is Atlantean, I'll source the famous image for you as well. And here we have the Amphitheatrum Sapiente Aterne Salius Vere. And here's the link here. This is in the Science History Institute Museum and Library Digital Collection. So you also will see this image here pop up when you look up the Emerald Tablets. And you saw it in the Joe Rogan clip that I played when he was reading the wiki of Emerald Tablet. And this is dates to 1609. Language here is Latin. This has nothing to do with Tehuti. This has nothing to do with Kemet. This has nothing to do with the Medu Neter. This is just someone's interpretation of these Emerald Tablets and drawing it. And now it becomes a monument that people look at, and as if there's any type of factual, this is just complete imagination that someone is putting in. And now these Emerald Tablets have Latin written in them. What does the literature say about this tablet? Let me take you back to the original Arabic source, the Book of the Secret of Creation and the Art of Nature, the Kitab Sir al-Halika. And we'll start here. At this moment, so this is actually in the Book of Secrets of Creation and the Art of Nature, where the Emerald Tablet sources from. So this is the actual translation of the writings on that Arabic papyrus. At the moment I awoke, filled with joy and placing a light under a transparent vessel, as I had been ordered to do. I descended underground. I saw an old man sitting on a throne of gold, holding in one hand a tablet of emerald, on which was written, "This is the formation of nature." Before him was a book on which this was written, "This is the secret of the creation of beings and the science of all the causes and the science of the causes of all things." I took this book boldly and without fear, and I departed from this place. So we went into this cave, or this underground. He descended underground and saw an old man on a throne of gold holding these books, holding this tablet and this book. And this person just went and took the book boldly without fear. "Give me that book, old man," and just left. I learned what was written in this book of the secret of the creation of beings. I understood how nature was formed. I acquired knowledge of the causes of all things. My knowledge made my name famous, which is what you see today. People understand that this information, when you know it and you can teach it, you can use this to become famous. Because now this is, especially in today's time with the spirituality, the law of attraction, the secret, these Emerald Tablets. This is the source. This is where it all comes from. It's Egypt, and really it's Atlantean, which was older than Egypt. And of course, it's going to make your name famous. And we know some very famous names that teach on these Emerald Tablets. I knew the art of talismans and marvelous things, and I penetrated the combinations of the four elementary principles, their different compositions and their antipathies and their affinities, the four elemental principles. Do not be deceived by these much later writings of the true ancient wisdom of Tehuti. All of the Greek philosophers, i.e. Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, Hippocrates, etc., these were the students of the Kemetians. Nothing of the wisdom or knowledge originates with them, yet anyone ever attributes these teachings to them and their writings. So this is all anyone ever attributes these teachings to, are to the Greeks. Hermes Trismegistus. The Greeks started to write of Hermes as Tehuti, and now today all of this occult knowledge sources to them, while the true source gets ignored, and the sacred tones of the Medu Neter are silenced. They skip right over Kemet and attempt to take you to Atlantis, which again is a Greek concept and only exists in Greek writings. Let the airwaves begin. Let the airwaves be cleansed. Let the airwaves be purified. If any of you all want a teaching on Atlantis, I have the source writings for Atlantis too, and where they actually exist in the real story of Atlantis. Now it's not even, people don't even speak about Atlantis in the way that the Greeks actually wrote about it. I have all those sources as well. So if you all want an Atlantis class, put Atlantis in the comment section, and I'll also bring that forth, show you factual information. And Atlantis has nothing to do with Kemet. We have so many writings, thousands and hundreds of thousands and hundreds of thousands of papyruses, steles, writings, walls. Not one mention of an Atlantis. But if you go to the source of Atlantis, it speaks about the Kemetians, and the priests are the ones who are bestowing this knowledge to them. And yes, of course, Jesus has to be in the writings and taught, because this entire consciousness of information is all Greek, including the oldest Bibles, which is called the Septuagint. Welcome to the Matrix. So here you see this changes everything. 36,000 years old, secret of mankind. People, this is Doreal's. These are all Doreal's worshipers. And then they draw this up here like this is some language, and you see Jesus here meditating. You've been lied to. Ancient emerald tablets reveal proof of mysterious origins of humanity. This is a complete box and window of self-projection, telling you you've been lied to from the person doing the lying. They lied to us about Jesus. Jesus is Christ. True teachings found in the lost text. So again, this because Doreal put this in his writings. Doreal put this in his introduction to his translation of the emerald tablets. This is Jesus and Solomon and Apollonius. So now his worshipers and his students are now becoming famous. As you see, these are millions of views, becoming famous from these writings. And here you have the Septuagint, which is the oldest biblical writings, which you will always find in Greek. Greek P 458, the earliest biblical fragment in the John Rylands Library, and among the earliest pre-Christian evidence for the text of any part of the Old Testament. This is all Greek. So you have the Greek Septuagint, which is the Bible, which is the biblical writings, and later create your Jesus from the characters of Sir Apis. And now you have Thoth, the Atlantean, which Atlantis is Greek. Thoth is Greek. The Bibles are Greek. This is all Greek writings. So you think that you're breaking out of something, and you're just going right into another false matrix, because the ones who established this false matrix here were very calculative in the way that they disseminated information. So you get out of here, you get out of religion, then you go to astrology, which is Greek, all Greek, which is fine if you want to just acknowledge that you're all students of Greeks and that they were the supreme teachers, if that's what you want to believe and acknowledge. But we are the Kemetians, and it's written factually that we were the first ones to bring forth any type of supreme information of spirituality, mathematics, healing, health, the doctors, the architecture, masonry. Everyone knows where the source truly is, but yet no one goes to the writings. Let me now direct you to the true teachings of Tehuti, written by his scribes along the Nile Valley in the original language, in which Tehuti is given credit for, bringing forth by the scribes themselves. My name is Ptah Aten Tehuti. And if you also look underneath, Scribe. My name is Scribe, and I also do poetry, and that is my stage name, Scribe, with 3 eyes, and Sab. So it's only correct and ma'at that I bring forth these teachings to you properly and show you my great ancestors' writings, the ancient scribes of Kemet and along the Nile Valley, to cleanse and purify all of this isfet that I just showed you exist. Okay, so let's keep moving. This is the Medu Neter, the real name of the language of the hieroglyphics. the sacred carvings, which then later creates your Greek word logos. In the beginning was the word, and the word was God. In the beginning was the word. That word is a Greek for is a Greek word, and it's called logos. In the beginning was the logos, the divine word, the sacred word. Well, so then later, these symbols here, right here, become actual logos. You see a logo on every business, on every brand. It's a logo because it's a word that's telling you the story of whatever it is that it's attributed to. So they take the logos, the divine word, and turn the Medu Neter into logos today. And now you brand yourself with Medu Neter. The biggest artists do it. And a lot of them utilize the Medu Neter as their logos, but never will say Medu Neter, never will say the Netiru. And that's why I'm here. This is the word of God, the divine decree, the sacred writings. Let me take you to the hieratic papyrus, British Museum number EA 10474, the actual papyrus, the ancestral artifact. I'm not going to say this is somewhere hidden off in a cave in a pyramid somewhere, and the only way you can see it is if you go astrally project to it. No, I'm going to take you. You can go straight to the British Museum, or you can look this up, BMEA 10474, and look at these writings. To the teachings of Amen and Mopet, ancestral artifacts over religious opinion. This is the real language of the great ones, not this Atlantean fake language or this Greek or Arabic. Welcome to the first, welcome to the source. And as you see here, 10474, and this is where the teachings of Amen and Mopet exist. And this particular papyrus right here dates to around 600 BC. 1,000 years before this Arabic source of an emerald tablet. And here's the actual writings of the Medu Neter that's in a hieratic script, which is a more cursive script of the Medu Neter. So let's read chapter 15. The beak of the ibis is the finger of the scribe. Take heed not to disturb it. And so you see I have the Medu Neter up here, and I have the English translation underneath it. And you can find this English translation anywhere. You just type in teachings of Amen and Mopet, and you'll find it. And this is where a lot of the source of the biblical writings of Proverbs exist. It comes from Amen and Mopet, one of the scribes of Ma'at. And if you want a particular book to find this translation in, let me see, do I have my book? Yeah, here it is. Here it is. You can look this book up, The Literature of Ancient Egypt, an anthology of stories and steles by William Kelly Simpson. And you can find the translation in this book here. All right. Chapter 15, the beak of the ibis is the finger of the scribe. Take heed not to disturb it. The ETH Tehuti dwells in the temple of Kmun, while his eye travels around the two lands. If he sees one who cheats with his finger, that is a false scribe. So as an actual scribe of Ma'at, it is important that I point out the false scribes, the ones who are cheating with their fingers, the ones who are lying to you all. Tehuti takes away his provisions by the flood, the false scribe. As for a scribe who cheats with his finger, his son shall not be enrolled. If you spend a lifetime with these things in your heart, your children shall observe them. These are the real writings of Tehuti by the people of the culture who brought forth the consciousness of the Netiru. Okay? I need everyone to truly understand this. The actual writings of the people who followed the Netiru, who taught about the Netiru, who learned who learned to read the language and implement the teachings themselves. This isn't an offspring source. This is the actual writings of the ones who attribute them to Tehuti. And I'm going to show you that in my very next slide here in Amen and Mopet. Chapter 16. Do not tilt nor falsify the weights, nor diminish the fractions of the grain measures. Do not wish for the grain measures of the field to cast aside those of the treasury. The ape Tehuti, and so here we see Tehuti also being attributed to the ape, sits by the sides of the scales, while his heart is the plummet. Who is a god as great as Tehuti? You see here. Here is the word for God, which is neter, which is the axe. Who is a god as great, which is Tehuti, as I showed in the definition. Tehuti, twice great. That's or the great Tehuti. Tehuti. And you see the ibis bird here on the standard. The one who discovered these things in order to create them. It is Tehuti who discovered these things in order to create them. And here, British Museum number EA10470, Papyrus of Ani. The ape of Tehuti sits by the sides of the scales while his heart is the plummet. And here is the ape Tehuti as being a representation of sitting on the actual plummet here. The plummet is what allows a scale to measure accurately. And that is Tehuti's heart. That is Tehuti's Ebe. As we see here, Ebe is heart. It's the word Ebe. And you see the glyph right here, Tehuti. Tehuti, and you see the baboon, the ape here. And so you see the writings, and then you see the imagery that correlates with the writings. This isn't, we're not just making this up and telling you just to astral project somewhere and try to find something. No, here's the papyruses. Here's the actual imagery to reflect the writings, because it's all images. The writings are images. So the images are writings. Tehuti teaches us to not lie and cheat with your finger. So why are all of these people who teach and write books about the Emerald Tablets or Atlantis or Thoth and scribe in the modern day term all lie and falsify with their fingers? You all are doing a disservice who are teaching about these Emerald Tablets of Thoth when Tehuti says, do not cheat with your finger. Do not tilt or falsify the weights, which is what you are doing when you just teach about these Emerald Tablets as if what it says in these tablets are factual. Tehuti teaches us to dig, to gim, to search, to investigate. You don't just take something and find it and read it and just leave it there. You dig for that information. You go to the source. Today is the day your balance will be weighed. Stop allowing all of the modern day spiritualists lie to you about the Neter Tehuti. For those of you who do not know, the symbol for the first word for God is Neter, which is an axe. All right, which I showed you all. Neter, God. You see here, Neter, the Great, which is one of the names of Tehuti. It is now time to bind up the liars and enemies of the Natiru. Great is Ma'at ever at the ready. This is from the Maxims of Ptah Hotep, another ancestral artifact. One of the oldest books on the planet. These writings are dated to Ptah Hotep, which is around 2375 BCE. The original writings, the original scribes that later became your prophets of the Bible, which later become your the teachers of your great Greek philosophers. Great is Ma'at and ever at the ready. And so you see here the axes being used to control the Isfet, which is the word for God. The Neter, the Natiru, who Tehuti is one of. This is the Isfet. This is Ma'at. all of the spiritual, everybody's everything. Everybody is all the same. It's all good as long as it's all. No, stop stealing from us. Give us back our credit. You can teach what you want, but be honest. Be in ma'at. Be genuine. And here you see the axe and someone bound up. And here you have Ramesses II, Usa Ma'at Ra Septepen Ra, here with the Neter axe. Look at this. It's beautiful. This ain't the same. Show me this elsewhere. Doesn't matter what color, race. Ma'at is Ma'at. Isfet is Isfet. It doesn't matter what it looks like. Great is Ma'at and ever at the ready. Let me now take you to the oldest spiritual writings on the planet, the Per Im Haru, which many call the Book of the Dead. For more clarification on this, watch my class titled The Per Im Haru, the Book of Death or the Book of Life. Here on the House of Aten YouTube channel, I go through and I teach you about why this should not be called the Book of the Dead. It has nothing to do with this is a writings for dead people. It was just something, again, the Arabic, it's the kitab, the book. This is something that in the Arabic language that they called the Book of the Dead, because they would find the papyruses with people that they thought were dead. But we didn't teach death. We taught mut. Mut is also the Medu Neter word for mother, and then creates ma'at, which also then creates the matrix. The original matrix is ma'at. So they overstood that, created this false matrix that now you're rebirthed into, where everything is a lie. It's all confusion. You're led down multiple pathways that lead you to one source, which is Greek. And everyone thinks that they're doing different things. The Christians think they're doing something different than the astrologers. The astrologers think that they're doing something different from the ones who are teaching about numerology. And it's complete isfat. So here, another ancestral artifact, British Museum number EA 9900,31, Book of the Dead, Per Im Haru of Nebseni. Spell 125, 18th dynasty, 14th century BCE, 1400s. This is over 2000. This is almost 2,400 years before this emerald tablet. 2,400 years prior. This is the most supreme language. Forget, everybody's want to talk about this Atlantean language. Show me an Atlantean language. Show me something with the language of Atlantis on there. Show it to me. You can't, because it doesn't exist. But I'm going to show you the Medu Neter. I'm going to show you the great ancestors, the great Seba'it, the teachings of Ma'at along the Nile Valley, the teachers of the Natiru. This was found in the Temple of Ptah, Memphis, or HEKA Ptah, which then later became your word Egyptos from HEKA Ptah, because the Greeks overstood the sound vibration. So they have to take away the original sound vibration and create it. So even when you come to the Medu Neter, or excuse me, when you come to ancient Egypt, let me keep it surface. When you all come to ancient Egypt, you're still speaking Greek. You're saying Anubis. You're saying Isis and Osiris and Thoth. They changed all the names of the Natiru because they don't want you to have the original names of the original sound vibrations of the great Neter. But here, I'm here to bring it to you. The House of Aten is here to bring it to you. So here we're at the Per Im Haru, 1400 BCE. And you see the Medu Neter here. You see the ape Tehuti here alongside, which is the first original lake of fire, this glyph right here, Set or Sechet, which is fire. And then you see the water here, which is lake. This is a lake. And the 4 cardinal points around the lake of fire here. And Nebseni here with his arms up, another scribe. Again, just for clarification, this is 2,400 years before the source of the Emerald Tablets. Let us see what the original writings say, if at all anything, about these green or emerald tablets. And so here we're in the Purim Haru of Ani, page 204 of the Book of the Dead by E.A. Wallace Budge, which this is good because you see the actual metanetter, the transliteration, and the English. And so when you look up different books today, different dictionaries, there's a different transliteration system. But when you study and you dig, you're able to utilize all of this information, validate each other, cross-reference. So I use all Purim Harus, I use all the dictionaries, but this one is great for the beginner because you get to see the glyphs as well alongside the English. So let's read this. This is Papyrus of Ani, 1250 BCE. That's what this book, the Book of the Dead. I think this one is in one of my other rooms, but Budge. But within that book, there's appendixes that give longer chapters because not all Purim Harus all say the same thing. So this actual chapter here is in Nebseni, which is the end of Papyrus of Ani. So let's read what this says. Homage to you, O Netiru. These, even I know you. I know your names. Do not cast me down to your slaughtering knives. Do not bring forward ye my wickedness before the Netiru, whom ye follow him. Let not come my moment before you. Declare ye right and truth for me before the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, because I have done Ma'at and Ta-Meray. One of the actual names for Egypt is Ta-Meray or Ta-Mary. Not have I cursed the Neter, not hath come my moment. Homage to you, O Netiru, who live in your Useket hall of Ma'at, right? Who live in your hall of Ma'ati, without evil in their Katt, in their bodies, who live in Ma'at. So these are the real writings of Tehuti. These are the real writings of the scribes. Very beautiful writings. Declare Ma'at, the hall of Ma'at, who live in Ma'at, Anki and Ma'at. What then didst thou say to them? I saw rejoicing in those lands of Finku. What then did they give they to thee? A flame it was, of fire. And there it is. You see the same glyph that I showed you on the papyrus is right here. It's a word, seshet, which is the feminine word for sesh, which is also the word for scribe or to give out light. It's sesh. And so here's seshet, which is fire. Henna, together with what? A tablet of crystal. Uwachet in Thehinet. And this right here, this little zero looking symbol is a th sound. It's a Greek letter, th. Uwachet in Thehint. What then didst thou do therewith? I buried it by the place of Ma'ati with the things of the night. Okay, so here we're seeing a tablet of crystal that was buried in the place of Ma'ati with the things or the ket of the night. What then didst thou find? What didst thou find, which is Kim again, Kim or Gim with the ibis and the owl here. Kim, to dig, to search, to investigate. What did you find there by the place of Ma'ati? The scepter of flint maketh to prevail thee. What then is the name of the scepter of flint? The giver of winds, of Nifu. It is its name, its Ren. What then, therefore, didst thou do with the flame of the fire and with the tablets of crystal? The Uwachet in Thehint, after thou buried it. What did you do? What then therefore didst thou do with the flame and of fire and with the tablet of crystal after you buried it? I uttered words over it. I adjured it, and I extinguished the sachet, the fire. I made use of the tablet and the kamam, kim, which again to dig, root word kim, which you see the ma'ah here, kam, and the owl, or yeah, the owl, the m, the kam, which creates the word for creating, a pool of water. Come then, passing over the Saba, the door, this of the Useket hall, this of Ma'ati. Thou art knowing us. So here is a use of tablet. I made use of the tablet in creating a pool of water. Ma'ah, the root word of Ma'at, in the hall of Ma'ati. Not will I enter thee over me, saith the bolt of the door. So here's the bolt of consciousness of a door telling thee, I will not enter. That's what the bolt is saying. You will not enter, except if you say my rin. So this is about sound vibration. This is how important the sound vibration is, and why all of the names have been twisted and lost, and why they don't take you back to the Medu Netter. Because if they really truly wanted you to have power over your reality, to truly understand that the laws of the universe, that the teachings of inundation or the law of attraction, speaking it into existence, originates here in these writings, not Greek, Hermes, Trismegistus, Thoth, Kabbalion, Emerald Tablets. Those are way later, way later, and diluted, because even these English translations are just a small piece of what the Medu Netter is saying, because these are images. An image tells 1,000 words. But because of space, and you have to make the translations readable, this is what we have. So we study the Medu Netter, and you'll see a little bit of what I'm speaking about here in just a moment. Over me with the bolt of the door, this except thou sayest my name, to Chetet. Thou sayest, to Chet, which is the same word for eternity, to speak. Weight of the place of Ma'ah, right and truth, is thy name. Now will let I enter thee by me, saith the lintel, right of the door, except thou sayest my name. He weigheth the laborers of Ma'at, is thy name. Not will I let enter thee by me, saith the lintel left of the door. So here's the door, the Saba, right? You got the lintel left, the labors of it, or that's the name, the labels of Ma'at, the lintel right, the Arit, Unem. You got the door bolt, the bench. The door itself is conscious that you're supposed to be traversing through. And the only way for you to be able to traverse through this door is to know the vibrational sound of that said thing. Not just one piece of it, what makes up the door. It's conscious itself. And so this is when you go into the Netter Kurt, which is the afterlife, the land of the Netter, the Kurt is voice. It's the land of the Natiru of sound vibration. So this is writings of telling you what to say. And here it's speaking about a tablet of crystal. So we don't have to make things up. We don't have to attribute things to much later teachings. We have the most potent and sacred and purified writings here. We have access to them. We don't have to read the offsprings. We have the source. So let's read the source. Saith the left lintel of the door, say my name. Judge of wine is thy name. Not will I let pass thee over me, saith the threshold of this door. And it continues. This is a long chapter here. But here we have the tablet of crystal. Uwachet in Fahent. Here is your real source for a tablet of crystal. Uwachet, which is stele or a memorial tablet. And you see Uwachet altar, a tablet for offerings here. And the Thehen, which means to sparkle or to scintillate, the lightning flash. So it deals with light. So it's sparkle stone, crystal. So here's your crystal tablet of Uwachet. Uwachet in Thehent, a tablet for offerings. Let it be known that today, March 9th, 2024, for the very first time in history, the factual original source of an emerald tablet directly from the teachings of the followers of Ma'at along the Nile Valley, who taught the entire world about spirituality, has been reintroduced by the House of Aten. This is not Greek. This is not Arabic. This is not Latin. This is not Atlantean. This is the Medu Neter. This is Ma'at. This is the Natiru. I am pure of heart and pure of hands. I have not falsified the weights or cheated with my finger. Nuk Ib Re, Ib Aui. I am pure of mouth and pure of hands. But Aten Tehuti, this doesn't say emerald. This says a tablet of crystal. So let me teach you about the Medu Neter. Here is Uwachet, which is stele, memorial, tablet, altar, tablet for offerings. Because these images have more than just one definition or one defining word. This is an image to signify a sound vibration, and the sound vibration creates the definitions around that tone. So Uwachet also means green, of emerald, sulfate of copper, root, Uwachet, an amulet made of root of emerald stone, either in the round or the sculptured in relief on a plaque, green stone in general. So this Uwach here, and you see the Uwachet here, which is a papyrus plant, and you see the serpent here of eternity, and you see it here, the papyrus plant and the serpent here. Uwachet. This T with the little line here is Cha. Uwachet. A tablet, which is a green tablet. It's green. Uwachet, because it's the same word for emerald.
You see, that's how it's done.
Don't ever let anyone tell you Hermes Trismegistus, emerald tablets of Atlantis, 36,000. Jesus Christ's teachings are from the emerald tablets of Thoth the Atlantean. No. These green Uwachet tablets, in which were buried in the place of what? Ma'ati. Let's read this again. I saw rejoicing in those lands of the Finku. What did they give to you? A flame, it was a fire, together with a tablet, a Uwachet, an emerald tablet of crystal. What then didst thou do with it? I buried it in the place of Ma'ati. So a place of Ma'ati, not in some underground cavern with a man sitting on a gold throne. This was buried in a place of Ma'ati with the things of the night. And so here we have Ma'ati, which is the region where the Ma'ati goddesses administered the affairs of heaven and judged the souls of men. This is afterlife teachings. Ma'ati, the place where the deceased buried the flame of fire and the crystal scepter. The Uwachet and Thehent, the scepter that is the tablet. Who are the Ma'ati goddesses, right? the region where the Ma'ati goddesses administer the affairs of heaven and judge the souls of men. So let's stay in chapter 125 of the Purim Haru that I just read this from Nebseni. So now here we're in the Papyrus of Ani, 1250 BCE, British Museum number EA10470. Who are the Ma'ati goddesses? And here's Ma'at. Ma'at is a goddess, the personification of law, order, rule, truth, right, righteousness, canon, justice, straightness, integrity, uprightness, and of the highest conception of physical and moral law known to the Remech or known to the Cometians. Ma'ati, the two goddesses of truth, i.e. Isis and Nephthys, which are the Greek names, which are Aset and Nebet Het, who assisted at the great judgment. And I have them here, Aset and Nebet Het, here sitting together side by side. This is Ma'ati, the same name for the place of where the emerald tablet, the emerald scepter, is buried by the Asar, who is the soul who is traversing through the Netzer Kurt. This is what the actual teachings are of this emerald tablet. It has nothing to do with what people are trying to make it into today. What else does Uwachet mean? Uwachet, the scepter of Fieldspar, with which Horus fought against the foes of Asar. It proceeded from Uwachet, the scepter of Aset. So now it's an actual symbol of protection, a symbol of fighting, to fight off Isfet. So this is what I'm doing right now, using Uwachet to show you Uwachet, to fight off the Isfet that is existent, that's trying to take over our ancestors' teachings and deceive the people, which is not okay. Great is Ma'at and ever at the ready. Uwachet An, and you see the I here above the boat. So it's a name of the sacred boat, which is also Ma'ati, which is the name of the boat of truth that you're using to traverse on, which is consciousness, because you need to be true within oneself. The Uwachti, the two ladies, the two Neterets, Uwachet and Nekbet, the two Ure on the brow of Ra. Right, so you see them here. You see Nekbet and Uwachet. Right here, the serpent and the vulture, the great Mut. Here, with the wings protected of Asar, who the deceased becomes. He becomes the Asar, which is Osiris, who was raised up by the two ladies, as you see here. Uwachet and Nekbet, with their hands up to the crown, raising one up. And here you have Tutankhamun in the 10th position, in the completion position, in the position you saw me in at the very beginning of this video. The 10, the position that you see here of Asar, means to be complete. And on the crown of the Nemes, you see Uwachet and Nekbet, the two ladies, the Uwachti, which is the same sound vibration for the emerald tablet or the emerald scepter of crystal that is given to the Asar through the afterlife, that is to be buried in the place of Ma'ati, which is also the two ladies, as I showed here, the two ladies, Aset and Nebtet. The two ladies who provide resurrection to Asar, therefore creating a rebirth, resulting in becoming fresh and young again, which is what resurrection is. Uwachet, to be green, to be young and new, to thrive, to prosper, to flourish, to be fertile. Uwachet, green, fresh, youthful, something green. So to be young and new again. This is the Uwachit. This is what the Uwachit is for. These are the real original teachings in the language and directly from the ancestors themselves, from the ones who brought forth the concept. The true emerald tablets have nothing to do with Hermes or with Atlantis. May you all live in Ma'at and defend the true teachings of Natiru. Uwachit in Fahent, the crystal scepter which the Fenku gave to the deceased. This is your emerald tablet. Welcome to the House of Aten, where the Natiru exist, where we teach directly from the ancestors themselves. I appreciate you all's time and for sitting through this class. This isn't a short class because this needed to be completely disseminated, and I have much more. I have much more than this. I didn't even show anything on Atlantis. I didn't even show Hermes Trismegistus and where that originates from in the 2nd century BCE. I didn't show a lot, but I showed what needed to be shown in this first class here to show you the source of what these emerald tablets are, the papyruses that they exist in, the languages that they're written in, and take you all the way back thousands of years prior to the source and show you what the original teachings of what an emerald tablet or a scepter of protection to fight off the enemies of Asar was and represents. So Hinu, Tua, adoration. This is the house of created by Ani Ptah Aten Tehuti, the emerald tablets of Tehuti. Hotep, peace and love. May you all continue to exist in Ma'at.